Good morning, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. I'm Reverend Theresa, and I am so happy that you're here with us this morning. Really, I'm super excited this morning. Super excited. I feel reinvigorated, really charged up and renewed. Renewed in my commitment to my ministry, to this community. I spent yesterday in Orlando at the Center for Spiritual Living Orlando for the graduation of new practitioners and new ministers from the Florida campus, the Florida Homes Institute campus. And that's where I graduated from. And I'm super excited. I'm just so charged up. I got really inspired yesterday by their commitment, which was just an opportunity for me to renew. So I'll try to slow my speech this morning, but I am really excited, very charged up. I'm excited about my part of this evolutionary awakening of humanity. And I say that with all sincerity, not from an egotistical point of view, from an empowered point of view. I feel like we're really at a point in our human evolution that's powerful. It's an important place at, and I believe that every one of us is here alive now for a reason. And so it's not just my participation in our evolutionary process, but it's yours too, each one of us. So I know I'm not alone in this. I'm aligning with others all over the world, and those others are you. That's who you are. You wouldn't have tuned in here this morning if you aren't concerned with your own spiritual journey, and your spiritual journey is integral to what's going on in the whole world. It's part of the entire process, because we are never separate from the allness of God, which is everyone, everywhere, all the time. Everyone, everywhere, all the time. So you too have an important part to play. And so together, we're creating a world that works for everyone, for all things, all people, the earth, all animals, for everyone, everywhere. And we do that by inspiring each other first to live our lives courageously, passionately, to go after what it is within each one of us, that unique urge, that drive, that soul's calling, which is what we're talking about all month long here, is the soul's call, the awakening of our soul. So I invite you to participate with us this month as if it's a class, as if you're really looking to explore and experience and expand. Yes? So last week we started with our contemplative service, and we did a practice, and I will encourage you to go back and listen to that throughout the month, to let that be a spiritual practice for you. You can fast forward to just where we do the meditation and join into that. Part of that meditation is wounds dissolving. Wounds dissolving. And that's what we're looking at specifically here this morning. So I also said last week that this is the midpoint of the year. We're in June. So this is such a perfect time for us to all reassess. Just like I said, I'm reinvigorated, I'm renewed. Each one of us can reassess where we are at this month of June. Did we have intentions when we began 2021? And where are we? How are we doing with those intentions or goals or the vision that we see before us? Where are we in its manifestation? Yeah? And then we can recommit for the next half of the year. So we truly are successful, and we can support one another in that. So this morning, we are leaning into our discomfort. That's the talk title. Lean into the discomfort. And so I want to begin with a spiritual mind treatment, an opening treatment, taking our minds consciously into that ever-present animating spirit. That allness that I spoke about. That which is birthless, deathless, ceaseless, unaffected by conditions of any sort. That which in me is the expression of the unique incarnation of God, spirit, source, energy, whatever we choose to call, the creative intelligence that continues to bring life from the invisible into the visible. And I know it does so by means of me. And I know it does so by means of each one of us. We are incredibly creative. We're part and parcel. We are inseparable from the creative process of life itself. And so I'm going to borrow from the newly graduated Reverend Dan Granda, as he said yesterday of himself and the other graduating ministers, that we have crossed a line in the sand, never again to return to where we were. I affirm that for myself this morning and each one of us, that in fact we have crossed the sand by showing up here this morning, by tuning in, and that everything we need to support that journey forward, onward, and upward, that spiral, evolutionary, spiritual journey, is already provided. Every crooked place is made straight, every door is open. I affirm that we receive inspiration here this morning from the beautiful music, the inspiring music, from the reading that is shared, from something within us that stirs and says, yes, 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 yes to life. I give it all over to that animating spirit within. I affirm our alignment, and I affirm its freedom to express. Join me in that knowing for yourself by saying, and so it is. We have a good morning planned, and it's going to start with this next young lady. We have returning to us for her second visit, Jessie Powers. You are going to absolutely fall in love with her music, her voice that she lets sing just beautifully. Here you go, Jessie Powers.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that prayer. That was beautiful. So we're talking about leaning into discomfort today. And this song is about counting your blessings, and that includes your pain. Sunshine on my face and the day is made of magic. Sometimes I still find a way to make my life feel tragic. Good things pour down on me like summer rain, so warm. I wanna run, but it's so much better to dance in the storm. I said I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. And I accept my pain without question, it's a blessing. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I'm expanding and I'm standing in the heart of love, 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 in the heart of love. Things crumble into chaos and I don't know where to turn next. Seems like it's a failure, but I know it's all for the best. Good things are coming my way, even if I can't see them yet. And if I open my eyes and trust, I see that I've been blessed. Yeah, I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. And I accept my pain without question, it's a blessing. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I'm expanding and I'm standing in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love. question, it's a blessing. And I accept my pain without question, it's a blessing. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I'm expanding and I'm standing in the heart of love. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. And I accept my pain without question, it's a blessing. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I'm expanding and I'm standing in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love. I'm standing in the heart of love. I'm standing in the heart of love. I'm standing in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love.
Wow, that's awesome, Jesse. Thank you. And it's nice to be here. And good morning to everyone. And my reading this morning will be sort of leaning into growth, which is what in line with what Theresa is talking to us about today. A time to bloom. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. We all know about change. We know that it's inevitable and that we have two choices when it comes. One, resist and suffer, or two, go with it and use it to grow into something better. I'm embarrassed about how many doorways in my life I have claw marks from my fingernails as I try to stay in my comfortable room. Yet here I am anyway, out in the wilds of a bigger life, and thankful that I am. Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, who introduced the practice of visioning to our movement, often says that the pain pushes until the vision pulls. This is a perfect way to express our deep need to move forward, to grow, and to explore new possibilities. All of life blooms, even sere plants in Death Valley. As human beings, we are part of and one with all of life. Our need to bloom is internal and eternal. Whether it's Grandma Moses learning to paint at the age of 78, or Jennifer Figg swimming the Atlantic Ocean at 56, we can always find examples of what is possible for those with vision. Unfurl your petals and bloom. And the affirmation today I release all fear and joyfully step into my greater yet to be. Greater yet to be. Love that. I rejoice in my spiritual growth as an expression of the divine. Thank you all. And now to Jesse. Back to Jesse.
Thank you, Mike. I was going to play a different song, but I think this one is more appropriate for the time. So this is about leaning into darkness. And all the gifts that can come from that. Can you feel my love? Let it wrap you up in a warm body. It is more than enough that you are simply breathing right now. You bring your highs, you bring your lows. You try to prove to me you don't deserve anything, but I'll keep holding the space for you to simply be here right now. And it's a hard road to this is gonna dissuade me from loving you. And all this darkness is just a feeling, and it's feelings that make you grow. And when you're growing, it means you're healing, making your way to where you let resistance go. And I can't show you the way, and I will reassure you that through it all, I'm gonna stay. Won't you let me in? I am standing at your door, waiting. I don't care if it's a mess in there. I just wanna see you shine as you are. And it's a hard road to love it yourself. It's a hard thing to believe it enough to be loved by somebody else. You may be lost, you may be shaken and confused, but none of this is gonna dissuade me from loving you. And all this darkness is just a feeling, and it's feelings that make you grow. And when you're growing, it means you're healing, making your way to where you let resistance go. And I can't show you the way. Oh, and I can reassure you that through it all, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay. And I love you, darling, whether or not you believe that I do. Oh, and I love you, sugar, so open up and receive what I've given you. Oh, and all this darkness is just a feeling, and it's feelings that make you grow. And when you're growing, it means you're healing, making your way to where you let resistance go. And I can show you the way, and I can reassure you that through it all, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay. Ooh, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay. Ooh.
Beautiful, Jessie. Just beautiful, just beautiful, just beautiful. Yeah, I'm going to stay. You know, there's that divinity within and all around us, that loving and supportive universe. It just folds up for the huge embrace when we're going through something, right? Never leaves, never leaves. We're inseparable. I so love that. That is just beautiful. And look at Mike ministering to us about our collective need to bloom. Amen. Yes, yes, we have that urge within us, pulling us, or we're going to be kicked in the butt, like Dr. Michael says. Yeah, and I don't care if it's messy, right? Like that judgment piece, we're going to talk about it in a minute. To let it go. To let it go and be in the process of birthing life all the time. So lean into the discomfort. That's what you're being invited to this morning, is Lean into the discomfort. That could be a great invitation line, right? Come to my party. Lean into the discomfort. I don't know. A lot of people probably don't think that sounds too enticing or exciting, and you're maybe wanting to click the button and leave leave the broadcast right now because it doesn't sound like fun. But you know what? In some bizarre way, it is to me. It is to me. It's kind of like going and having my teeth cleaned or getting a colonic. You know, it's not too much fun at the time, but man, you feel so much better afterwards, right? You just feel so good, so alive, so fresh. So, same thing happens when we have a crying session with a trusted friend, when we can share our woes and go deep and we know that we've been heard and we've been witnessed to and we've been unconditionally loved. Yeah, you know, there's a pain, but it's a good pain. Do you know what I'm talking about? I do that every Friday morning. Every Friday morning I have my couple of hours, sometimes it's a few hours, with my prayer practitioner, prayer partner. So it's Reverend Shell Redfern, and we spend this time together, and it's a time of deep sharing, of witnessing, and of cleansing. It's a time that we do our spiritual work together, and we always feel rejuvenated afterwards. Not terribly unlike a colonic or getting your teeth cleaned. Seriously. We're flushing out what no longer belongs, what's no longer needed. And sometimes, I want to say this morning, I want to give this caveat, sometimes you need more help. We need more help in this process. So what I'm sharing today is not a substitution for you seeing a therapist if that feels like it's needed at this time. For getting professional support in doing this kind of work. And that leads me to want to talk about for a moment Taboo Topics, which I began talking about last month. I'm not ready to let that go yet. Taboo Topics, one of them is mental illness in our country. And we know that. It's been in the news a lot. And I just want to cover it a little bit. You know, the statistics on depression and suicide are steadily climbing, and suicide is the 10th overall cause of death in the United States, and the rates are significantly increased among younger populations. It's the second leading cause of death in ages 10 to 34. And it is the fourth leading cause for ages 35 to 44. It affects more men than women. Now, I've shared about this before. It really is one of the reasons that propelled me into wanting to have a spiritual community. The idea that someone would feel so disconnected from life and so alone and so unseen that their life was worthless is truly devastating to me. And my desire to want to attract younger people into our community is strong because of that. Young families and children. Again, it's the fastest growing segment too of suicide between 18 and 25 years of age. And that age, when you think of an 18-year-old, 18 to 25 years, that's the time of life where we've just been cut loose from the family. We're going out into the world. That's our time that we think of traditionally as a time of blossoming, right? And yet, many people in this age group don't feel that. And I really believe that Science of Mind offers a path. There's many paths. But I believe that Science of Mind offers a path of empowerment, a path leading us to self-discovery, and then an empowerment once we have discovered who and what we are. You know, I found this teaching, Science of Mind, when I was 31 years old. I had 2 children, and I was very unhappy. And you've heard that story before. I was immersed in a marriage that was immersed in drug and alcohol abuse, emotional distance. It really, I feel like when I found this teaching, it was a lifesaver for me, truly life-saving, and truly transformative for myself and my children. It created a paradigm upon which they've now built their lives, a paradigm that says anything's possible. Yeah, they're possibilitarians. You know, that's their paradigm. So I discovered a different path. I left the path of victimhood. I left the path of victimhood for a path of choices, for a path of empowerment. And I discovered along the way that the universe is very loving and supportive. I wish I could hear an amen from you right now. I want to hear a chorus of amen.
Amen.
You know, and also during that time, I discovered a good therapist. And I worked with that therapist hand in hand while I was learning science of mind. Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." Who looks inside awakens. And that's what we're doing this month again. Remember, the soul's calling, the soul's awakening. It's a deeply intimate and yet challenging but powerfully transformative process if we answer it, if we go there, which I mentioned last week, if we use the stuff of life, right? The call, the idea of a calling or the call can be synonymous with a song, hearing one's song, hearing that voice of God, right? But it can also come out as noise. It can come out as a cry. It can come out as a demand. But there's this universal imperative to grow that Mike was talking about, a universal imperative to grow. And if we ignore it, how's it going to get our attention? So it's a daily invitation that we have, and it's a daily invitation to pay attention. And there's global benefits of this, because when one person awakens, it affects everything. It affects, obviously, the people right directly around them, but it affects the whole global consciousness. This is what Ernest Holmes, the founder of the Science of Mind, taught. He said, "The world is beginning to realize that it has learned all it should from pain and suffering. Surely there can be no intelligence in the universe that wishes anyone to be sick or suffer pain, be unhappy, or end in oblivion." It's exactly what he was talking about. Exactly what he was talking about. And Reverend Martha Quintana, who is one of my mentors, wrote, "If humanity is to awaken to our spiritual magnificence and a world that works for all, our discomfort must become our guru." Our discomfort must become our guru. Write that down. That's a good one. Your discomfort is your teacher. And again, Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." There's no coming to that awakening without this process. You know what? There's so many quotes I could use here this morning because there's so much written from the mystics, from the scientists, from the psychologists, from the ministers, from religion in the Bible. You know, but I can't help feeling that it is what we push away, what we're fervent about, what we're adamant about, I'm not going there. That's exactly where we need to go. That's the path we need to go. Suppressed emotions, you know, all that stuff that we stuff down, that we don't want to deal with now, we don't know how to deal with now, we don't have time to deal with now, we don't have the resources to deal with now, whatever the excuse is, after a while we aren't even aware that we've built all that stuff. We're not even aware that we've been avoiding it. And then add to it repressed childhood emotions and traumas and all that's still operating. It is still operating on some level in our lives. And these learned behaviors at an early age, often we've learned these behaviors at an early age. And I'm just going to throw one out that I heard often was, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Did you hear that one? Wish I could hear your amen on that one. Yeah. Or it's not that bad. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Calm down. Stop it. Stuff it. I don't want to see it. It's unpleasant. It's uncomfortable. You keep it. Stuff it. Our feelings have been discounted, right? We're taught to bottle things up. It's not appropriate to share that. I heard that one a lot. And we're taught that our feelings are bad then. That's what we learned from that. So then what do we do with our disappointments? What are we to do with our sadness? What do we do when we feel frustrated? We learn that it's safer to avoid those things than share them, than deal with them. So what are we left with now? Well, a learning curve. Simply a learning curve. That's all. You know Michael Singer, right? He wrote The Untethered Soul, fabulous work that he does. He wrote a piece in James O'Day's book. This is what we used last week for the Soul Awakening prayer that we did, this practice that I'm encouraging you to do this month. And in here, Michael Singer writes about it, and he talks about the under the wounds dissolving part. And he talks about how our experiences leave an impression on us. There's an energy around them, whether they're positive or negative. There's an energy, and we carry that with us. It becomes ingrained. It's embodied in us. And he says they don't stay on their own. They stay because we keep them. We hold them inside ourselves. That is such a simple statement, but isn't it profound? When I read it, it struck me as so profound. We keep them. It's kind of silly when you think about that way, isn't it? Why do we do that? Why do we do that? Why do we suffer? Because we don't want to feel the pain. So we push it away. We don't want to look at it. We don't want to have that uncomfortability. But you know what? That moments, it could be moments, it could be minutes of uncomfortability when we bring it out into the light, look at it, let it dissolve, bless it, thank it for what it taught us, and let it go, rather than lugging it around for years and years and years. This isn't new stuff for a spiritual, teacher to talk about, is it? But I have a sense that some of us haven't fully embraced the practice. All right. So again, Michael Singer says, yet the act of pushing them away actually keeps them locked within us. And then they become energy blocks. And those blocks keep us from living that free, full expression of life that we have. It keeps us from going after our dreams. It keeps us down. So whenever we see something that reminds us of something we've buried, it brings that stuff up. And oftentimes we're unaware of why we kind of overreacted or whatever, because like, boom, it's right back there for us. All the feelings, all the thoughts resurface, usually, again, without conscious recognition. So betrayal, lack, whatever we've stuffed. Whatever hurts we've stuffed, they pop up for the second time or the 25th time. and it continues until we deal with it. So I want you to deal with it. I do. I beg you to deal with it. I think the world is going to be a better place if we all can just say, yep, this happened. Let me look at it. I don't believe that anymore. Michael Singer says, if it has wounded us, that's because we've resisted the experience and held it inside. Remember, we keep it. If it's no longer going on outside, why is it still creating a disturbance inside? really something to think about, right? I readily share my stories. Again, I was told when I was young that, I share too much. That's inappropriate. You wear your heart on your sleeve. That was said to me as a negative thing. You share too much. And I have readily shared my stories. But I've experienced death and divorce and attempted murder and whether it was me or someone close to me, rape, child abuse, you name it, I know it. It's been a mess in here, like Jesse's saying. And I've been in loving places, in loving communities, with loving people that have helped me walk through it. And I can honestly say that I've learned those experiences were blessings, like fertilizer for my growth, right? Crap, fertilizer, for my soul's awakening. I want to divert for a moment. As I said in my opening, I was in Orlando yesterday for the graduation for new ministers and practitioners. And it was also the 5th anniversary of the horrific mass shooting in the Pulse nightclub, which is in Orlando. So I happened to be there on that anniversary, and they did a celebration at the center that I was at, the CSL Orlando. They did a bell ceremony, which they have done each year since that event. And we read the names of the 49 victims. We stood up, we had their picture and their names, and we read them off in twos, everyone in the room. And Reverend Cindy Shellum from that community reminded us of God's arc, God's propensity to express its goodness in all things, its availability, its presence, its power, its unconditional love in all things. And she reminded us of that, and the impulse of spirit to continue on with life and to grow and to express. Now, it was a beautiful ceremony. We were all so very moved. I don't like the idea that we have life lessons, that we have lessons. I don't know. Something about that to me feels like it's from the outside in. That there's some grand teacher in the sky that's saying, this time you're going to learn X, Y, Z. To me, stuff happens, and I can choose to grow from it. There are opportunities for growth for mine and humanity's. What happened at Pulse has touched so many lives. We heard so much yesterday about the growth, about the possibilities coming into realities. Unfortunately, we're still experiencing mass shootings. But I believe that in every experience, there's an opportunity for us to find something as fertilizer for our growth. Khalil Gibran said, much of your pain is the bitter potion by which the physician within you heals your sick self. Every experience, ours, your neighbors, across the globe, is an opportunity for us to heal. And so how might we do that? How might we discover the wisdom inherent in the pain experience and to keep ourselves from suffering from that over and over and over again? I want to remind you of that meditation that we did last week. Go back and listen to it. Fast forward to it. Use that this month. I think that that's a great opportunity for us to practice. But here's another suggestion for you. Mindfulness. Check in with yourself often, especially when feelings arise. How am I feeling right now? And label the feeling. I feel nervous. I feel suspicious. I feel, whatever it happens to be. And I don't want you to go to spiritual bypass. You know, we've talked about this. In our teaching, we have a tendency to say, well, we want to name everything. We want to color everything with pretty colors. We don't want to have any black and brown and grays in our field of flowers, right? We want them to be all happy colors. Well, is that our life's experience? So we don't want to bypass with our affirmations. Not at that point. Not at that point. We want to accept all the feels, as my daughter would say. All the feels, all the feelings, all the emotions. And let go of our judgments around them and just allow them to surface. And then we can name it. And then we want to find the reason for it, the thought behind it, and then the belief that supports that thought. Because everything comes from a belief, then a thought, then a feeling. And we want to make this a habit, just a habit. And it can be a very quick thing once you get the system down, the routine down, right? And then you can adjust that belief. In science of mind, we know we live in a loving and supportive universe. That's what we teach. It's not always what we experience. And we learn that we are an extension of, an expression of all its goodness. That inherent within us is that endless joy, unconditional love, wholeness, perfection, right? We learn that we're whole, perfect, and complete. And if our lives are not manifesting that way, if it's not out picturing that way, if that's not our experience of it, and we're experiencing or feeling pain, there's a thought in the way of what is inherently here for us. There's a thought in the way. And that thought is causing us pain. That thought is a thought of untruth. That thought's a lie. It's not the truth of who and what you are. And so our job is in remembering and aligning then with our truth. And so it's simply a practice that we begin. Science of Mind teaches that our suffering is not God ordained, right? It's not God ordained. It is not necessary. We're empowered to live a life of grace and wholeness. And so I encourage you to let your pain speak to you of its wisdom, to let yourself seek the wholeness being offered in it, to lean in to the discomfort, to discover the message, to forgive the untruths, the beliefs that were claimed, and let them go and reclaim our wholeness, your wholeness. Let's take this into prayer. Let us just know that right here, right now, we do live and move and have our being in a loving and supportive universe. That there is this infinite presence, endless, unconditional, ever-present love, peace, joy, promise. Infinite possibilities reside in, as, all around us. They come from that infinite, invisible storehouse from which all life has come. All life. There's only one thing ever happening. It is that divine, invisible, creative, intelligent, loving presence coming into form, and it does so by means of me. It does so by means of each person. And so because of free will, we choose. I affirm now that in this awareness, in this light of knowing, in this alignment with the allness and the fullness and the love of life, that we are immersed in, that we are connected to, that we are inseparable from. I know for myself, I am safe. I am safe in revealing my pain, my discomfort, my worries, my fears. And I know that truth for each one of us. Because these experiences are temporary. What is birthless and deathless and ceaseless in my life, in all life, is divine life. Where there is no discomfort, no uncomfortability, no dis-ease, no untruth. There is only the fullness, the wholeness, the divinity. God, essence, source, substance. It's only one, and it's all good. And so I lean into that now, releasing anything unlike it. Knowing that if resources are needed, they're freely given. The right people to help, the right doors open. Services are made available. A friend calls. Whatever it is, I lean into the love, the unconditional love and presence of the divine, and I am safe. Safe to explore and to experience and to discover life anew. And I affirm that for each one of us. And with great confidence and clarity and expectation and a sense of celebration, I release this word knowing it is already so in the mind of God. And I expect to see it demonstrated in my life and the life of everyone who opens to its truth and acceptance. And so it is. Thank you for indulging me in that moment. Now, I'm going to turn it back over to Jessie. Hold on. Hold on. The warrior's here.
All right. That was a beautiful message, Reverend Theresa. And it feels a little odd coming out of it because it was so tender. But there's a lot of power in feeling our pain and facing it and not running from it. And that's part of being a light warrior, if you will. So that's what this song is about. Something's mistaking me, it's taking me for a fool. Constantly accusing me of being fake, like I'm some criminal, but it's subliminal. I can't remember though how I got in this flow of negativity that's keeping me from being free. But I know that it's all me, I'm the beauty and the beast, and my thoughts are the lock and my heart's the key. Society almost succeeded in bleeding me out, but I see the reality of the light and I'm ready for the fight now. I'm made of light and my weapon is the truth. Demons inside don't bother hiding, now I'm after you. Found the truth in this music, spit rhymes so smooth it forged the sword for this battle-born warrior. I am the warrior, I am the chief. I never turn and run when darkness comes for me. And love the demons may try to break me with their straight-faced lies. I am the warrior and I will always rise. Hey, 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 yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, 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 yeah, hey, hey, yeah, ooh, ooh, yeah, ooh. Okay, this is what you say to your pain. Instead of avoiding it and repressing it and telling yourself that everything is rainbows and butterflies, you say to your pain, you say, wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the battle's won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the acceptance is won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the love is won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the love has won. I am the warrior, I am the chief. I never turn and run when darkness comes for me. And though the demons may try to break me with their straight-faced lies, I am the warrior and I will always rise. Hey, 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 yeah, hey, hey, yeah, hey, 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 yeah, hey, hey, yeah, ooh. we're gonna practice saying it to our pain. I usually say battle, but this time it feels like it's more like the love will win. So here we go. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the love has won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the love has won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the love has won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the love is won. I am the warrior, I am the chief. I never turn and run when darkness comes for me. No, I feel it. And though the demons may try to break me with their straight-faced lies, I am the warrior and I will always rise. Hey, 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 yeah. Hey, hey, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah.
Wow. Whoa. I don't know how to follow that one, Jesse. Thank you. Not going to stop until the love has won. Not only is that line inspiring, you can see that the inspirational person was inspired mid-song to change her own lyrics. So this is powerful. This has been a powerful morning. This is the kind of morning where back in the day when we had CDs, and can put them in our cars. I don't have a CD player anymore. Anywhere in the house, actually. It's all on the iPod or part of my phone. I would have downloaded this, put it on there, and played it over and over every place I went for weeks, probably. So, not stopping until the love is won. Moving, and thank you, Mike, for opening us up with Anais Nin and the idea of when the pain of staying the bud is too great and greater than the urge to blossom, the rose blooms. I mean, that's where we are. That's what we're fighting. In I have the Science of Mind symbol up there behind me. You may not be able to see the whole thing. I'll move my camera a little bit. But if we're down at, if we've come down to the bottom of the V there, that's where we start our growth and our upward progress to the new, to that thing that we are becoming, to that way we are going to become. And so what is it you're resisting? What is it that you feel you can't do? What is it that's holding that discomfort? And I'm saying all this in the field of what I talk about every week, and that is giving. What stops me, you, anyone from giving? What is it? What must we face and allow the love to win, allow us to move into that space of sharing from the abundance of spirit, not your abundance, because we're given the universe by spirit, and it's up to us to share it, to give it forth, to share it forth, to play it forth, pay it forth, whatever language you like to use. That's our work to do. That's our growth. That's that growing edge that every teacher I've ever had has talked about. So, in this morning, we are supporting this wonderful Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. I know that it is growing and expanding as each one of us grows and expands. So as you prepare your gift or you affirm your gift through whichever electronic means that you've chosen to use, or you're writing a check, or however you are doing it, taking cash from your wallet or your purse or whatever you've got and putting it in an envelope and sending it, do it. Break whatever mold you've been in, break and step into something new. And as you do that, I draw each and every one of us into the space of prayer, the space of knowing that the infinite abundance of the universe is flowing in through and as each one of us in each and every moment, never stopping. And we simply allow ourselves to be the grand and great stewards of this flow. And as we steward this flow forward, we give it forth with great joy and great love and great abundance of feeling that we are doing something wonderful. We are awakening individually and thus awakening the world. So in this moment, I am blessing the giver for that boldness to step forth into something new, and I bless the gift as we receive it as a Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. And I know it is good and all good. I am so grateful, and so it is. And now back over to Bobby and Theresa. Love and blessings.
I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on.
Oh, thank you for being here with us this morning. Thank you so very much. I think I went a tad long there at the end, but I just couldn't stop myself. Oh my goodness. And thank you to Jessie. Wow, 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 wow. I love what you bring, and I just love what you bring. I love what you bring. And I can see by the comments that you do too. The rest of you are out there in TV land. So I'm going to invite you to Zoom. Jessie's going to be on there, and I want her to be able to tell you, and we'll do this first off. I want her to be able to tell you how you can support her. Bobby and I just supported her, what is that called? Kickstart for her new CD. And so I know there's always opportunities to support her, to go find her music. You want to know where to find her music and that kind of thing. So blessings. So God, what a heart. And I love your talent is beyond. I'm so happy to have you with us. And thank you, Emil, for your blessing. And Mike. It's just what a great morning. So quickly, I want to say that we're doing visioning on Tuesdays. We're doing meditation walks. Specifically, this Thursday, we're going to have a morning meditation walk led by Annie Cedarberg. And it's going to be out at Quick Point Nature Reserve, which is on Longboat, on the south end of Longboat. And so you want that information, you need to be looking at the email that is sent out every Thursday morning. To be on our email list, you need to go to the website or look on Facebook. On Facebook, it's right there at the top of the page, I think, to sign up to be on our email list. So anyway, and the website is www.cslculturalcoast.org. And then the other thing I really want to highlight this morning, as I did last week, is Gina Alicia's Painted Prayers workshop, which is coming right up, and we need your RSVP by Wednesday because she has to ship supplies down here to have them in time for the workshop, which is on the 24th, I believe. Saturday. It's a Saturday. I believe it's the 24th, but we have to have your RSVP by Wednesday the 16th, which is coming right up. Gina's going to be also on the Zoom, so after we talk with and show our love to Jessie, we're going to talk with Gina so she can answer any questions that you have and that kind of thing. So it's $20 for members, $25 for non-members. And thank you. There's scholarships available. We had one very generous donation to support at least 5 people taking the class. Should you want to take the class, but that $20 or $25 it feels like a challenge right now, we do have support for you for that. So let us know. Please reach out and let us know. All right. With that, I'm going to go post on the link for Zoom. And sorry, one more thing. We're doing a town hall. After we've talked with Jessie and Gina, then we're going to move into a town hall, and I'm going to have these now for the next several weeks because I want to hear from you about reopening. We're looking at going back to the garden club Those of you in Austria and Tennessee and Kentucky and Seattle and wherever you're tuning in from, you can still tune in because we will continue live streaming. So we don't have the exact date, but it's probably going to be in July. Stay tuned. But I want to talk to you about that. I want your input. So we're going to have these town hall meetings. And specifically, today is going to be about reopening and your thoughts around that. Safety protocols and mask and no mask and all that kind of stuff. I want to hear from you. All right. Love you so much. Thanks for staying tuned in, even though we went a tad long. All right. Bobby's going to close us out.
All right, thank you, Theresa. Don't forget, if you need prayer support, prayer at CSLCulturalcoast.org is the email address. And Evan usually puts it in the comments. So our closing song is from the Allman Brothers, talking about letting your soul shine. When you can't find the light that got you through the cloudy day, when the stars aren't shining bright and you feel like you've lost your way, when the candlelights of home burn so very far away, you gotta let your soul shine, just like my daddy used to say. Gotta let your soul shine. It's better than sunshine, better than moonshine, darn sure better than rain. Hey now people, don't mind, we all feel this way sometimes. Gotta let your soul shine, shine through the break of day. Grew up thinking I had it made, gonna make it on my own. But life can take the strongest man, make him feel so alone. Sometimes I feel a cold breeze blowing through my aching bones. I think back to what my daddy said, son, in this darkness before the dawn, let your soul shine. It's better than sunshine, better than moonshine, darn sure better than rain. Hey now people, don't mind, we all feel this way sometimes. Gotta let your soul shine, shine through the break of day. Sometimes a man can feel this emptiness, like something has robbed him of his very soul. A woman too, she can feel like this. When your world turns cold, you gotta let your spirit take control. You gotta let your soul shine. It's better than sunshine, better than moonshine, darn sure better than rain. Hey, now people, don't mind, we all feel this way sometimes. Gotta let your soul shine, shine through the break of day. Gotta let your soul shine, shine through the break of day. Let your soul shine.